Hello, my name is Brian Webb, and in today's session, we are going to learn how to prepare an exam that students can take at any time over a set period. The example that we are going to use is an exam that's handed out on Monday and due by Friday of that same week. The learning outcomes for this video are to understand how to duplicate your exam from the bank to the course, and to understand the correct settings to allow students to take an exam at any point outside of class. So let's see what we need to do. I'm at the original assessment. This is something you've put together maybe in your bank. Remember, I'm working from my sandbox, so make sure that you're in your bank where your assessment was built. We're going to go to More, and we're going to duplicate this as an unlinked assessment, and we're going to send it to that course that is related to your bank. This is where all of your students exist, so we absolutely must duplicate it from the bank to the course. There are no students in your bank. When that's done, you're going to have your questions. You can still make adjustments at this point to the questions, to their points, and to the settings of each question. Under Assessment Options, again, you're going to need to choose how you want to display results, navigation, tools that students might use, a pre-assessment notice, and the attachment that they can access throughout the exam. Now, there's a couple different options at this next point that relate to what we are working in. Again, we are assuming that the exam is provided on Monday and due by Friday. We are also expecting that it is a timed exam to be completed in one sitting. So, time limit down here, set your time limit. You are also going to want to have this universal resume code to share with students. Whenever you have students taking an exam or working on an assessment at home, it's worth sharing that unless you want to get a panicked email in the middle of the night requesting that code. Randomizing your question sequence can help to reduce potential comparisons of questions, but anytime students are taking an exam outside of your class, you might need to expect that's going to happen. Definitely watch out for randomizing answer choices. If you use something like A and B are correct, remember that will move around what you originally started as A and B, so that answer might not be correct anymore. So randomizing answer choices really should only be used when you have no all of the above, both A and B as reasonable choices for your questions. So secure, again, means that they are not going to be able to use the internet or anything else on their computer. Non-secure means that you can still block the internet, but otherwise they will have internet access and other application access. Suspend is what students will allow students to actually close Examplify and come back to the test later. Notice that as you switch over to that, these are both options and not required. So whether you're allowing internet or not allowing internet, we have a time limit on this test. Let's go to our post settings. Your password for post settings, again, you're going to want to share that at the first point that students can actually start your exam. So let's schedule an exam for next week, starting on Monday. Set the time to whatever works for you. And that it's due by that Friday. I would recommend that the download end would be a point that is after, there we go, the next week, there we are. So if you had class, let's say at 10 a.m., and you assigned this and allowed the download to start at that time, If you're giving them 90 minutes to complete the exam and you want it absolutely done before the exam, I would set it at 8:30. Oops. So now they would still have a chance to download and have an hour and a half before class starts. At that point, you would again see who has turned it in time. And if you still had people attempting to hand it in late, you could determine if those reasons are valid or not. So, start of the week, end of the week. I do not recommend using upload deadline unless you are really like you do not want students handing in something after this time period. You can always move this back, but it's a bit of a hassle. I recommend that you allow students to hand it in later, unless there is you're just going to have a very strict cutoff. If you really want that very strict cutoff, go ahead and use the upload deadline. If you're going to be willing to allow students to have technical issues, stuff like that, but still accept it, then I would just use download end. Maximum downloads, 1 is usually acceptable for this. You can always add more to students if they need them. If there was some sort of technical problem and they had to submit an incomplete test, you would add another download for them. You would set the remote assessment deletion to after maybe the next day. So that's Saturday. That was Friday when it was done. And this will delete any assessments that are left on the students' computers. This isn't deleting the completed assessments. Review settings. Let's say then that you want to review the next week. You would have the review start time. Again, let's say you're reviewing on that Monday at 10 a.m. and you're going to review for 1 hour. Again, I recommend that you maybe go with wrong date. There we go. The 30th. So the review will be deleted 2 hours later. They're only going to have 60 minutes. Again, this gives them a little bit of time for any issues. Add in your password, time limit if you only want them to see incorrect answers, show rationale. Those are, again, ways of reducing what you're giving away to students. Don't forget to have your password. That's going to allow you to save and finalize your exam. When you finalize, you'll be posting these results. If you have any questions about the settings for this exam, please let me know.